Good morning.
Good morning.
Is my mic working? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. You all hear me? Is this angle really weird? We're gonna try to do the meeting on one screen instead of having our audios overlap. So if it's awkward looking at me from up there, I'm sorry. Heather, do you still need a copy of the agenda? Okay. Like, do you want the box link or do you want the?
No, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, this time, this has never happened before. I cannot open it. Like, I don't have access to edit it, and I don't want to edit it. I just want to download it, and it's not letting me do it.
I'm in the same boat.
Okay,
I'll send you one, John. Well,
thank you.
Heather, yours should be there now.
Okay, thank you. So, Brad, did you email it to me, or did you give me like a permission or something?
No, I just emailed you. I just downloaded it and emailed it to
Okay.
you.
I think I
Okay,
can.
awesome.
I think it's because of the permissions. I think I just need to change. What happened? Heather wants access to download.
How is that? Okay.
Yeah, the email still hasn't come in. It's probably running through Ball State's Supreme email checking system.
We'll give it just a minute. I think we
Okay,
start
thank you. I'm sorry.
to log in, right? I think we're just one board member shy. And we have quorum though.
Heather, can you try to see if you can like refresh the box page and see if it lets you download now?
Yeah, I'll try that. Thank Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry about
That
that.
was really frustrating. 10
Sorry.
minutes this morning, I was like, what am I doing wrong? There's no download.
All right. We have quorum, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this party started. Good morning and welcome everyone to the November Board of Directors meeting for the Muncie Land Bank. Appreciate everyone coming today. First on our agenda is our consent agenda, which just is the last meeting minutes and our monthly financial statements. Assuming everyone has had a chance to look over the consent agenda, I would entertain, and assuming there are no corrections needed, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Is going to call the second. Are there any questions, comments, concerns regarding the consent agenda? Hearing none. All in favor, signal by saying aye. We'll do a roll call. Rebecca,
I,
John,
Aye.
Dustin,
Aye.
Dan,
Yes, aye.
Heather,
Go ahead. On.
Aye.
Melanie.
Aye.
And I thought we had Jean, but it looks like I've lost Jean on my screen. Did we lose Jean? Okay, and I, so that's unanimous. Consent agenda is passed.
Jean's back.
I'm back. Sorry.
No worries. Good morning. We just got through, we just approved the consent agenda.
Okay, fine.
And
I
we're just
approve.
moving right into our voting items on our agenda. Our first item up is the approval of a recommendation from our Acquisition Disposition Committee to sell 214 East 21st Street to David Easterly. Zach, do you want to go through any details with us? Zach,
You're muted, Zach.
Sorry, thank you. Yeah, so 214 East 21st is a vacant side lot to a property owned by David Easterly. It is it's something we've owned for almost 3 years now. So we've been maintaining it, insuring it, and it's cost a little bit of money. It's been on our website and our auction for quite some time now, but no one's had interest. David Easterly, I sent him a letter and he called, followed up on it and said he was interested. And he's placed the minimum bid for $500. It's the only bid that we've gotten from.
And he's the contiguous owner.
Yeah, he's the adjacent. He's the adjacent owner.
Hi, Annette.
Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Annette.
Sorry I'm late.
No worries. We just went through the consent agenda and Zach has just given us some details to the recommendation to sell 214 East 21st Street. Are there any questions for Zach regarding the recommendation? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Is there a second?
second,
Are there any further comments, questions, or concerns regarding the motion to sell 214 East 21st Street? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. All in favor, signal by saying aye. Rebecca,
I,
John,
Aye.
Jean,
Aye.
Dustin, aye. Dan,
Aye.
Heather,
Aye.
Melanie,
Aye.
and Annette.
Aye.
The aye makes it unanimous, so staff will work on moving that over to Mr. Easterly. Zach, do you want to take on the next recommendation from the A&D committee?
Yeah, so the NCST is the National Community Stabilization Trust. They have a program, which is the Real Estate Owned Acquisition Program. This is something that we started to apply for in 2023, kind of got pushed aside, but then we looked at it again and thought it would be a good time to apply for it now. In this time, they come up with an expedited process for land banks, so the application for us was really short. And this is the last stage, which is essentially getting a board resolution approved that gives staff expedited ability to acquire properties through this program. That would basically transcend the existing board rules. That piece of that board resolution is in box. It's under the NCST materials, and then it's NCST board resolution. There's also the program guide and the memo of understanding, which don't need board approval, and the purchase agreements don't need board approval. It's just the board resolution, which is authorizing the executive directors, authorizing Nate to make these purchases.
And the reason for that, that's something that they recommend as a program, is because it's usually time intensive. I mean, like a property might come up for sale and we need to be able to say quickly whether we want to acquire or not. They don't have the ability to wait for our board process necessarily. But they're set up to serve land banks. I mean, they're set up to try to give us an opportunity at properties that are, for whatever reason, going through a foreclosure process of some sort.
That board resolution, I think I worded it at the bottom there, that it's still within the bounds of what the budget has been set by the board at the beginning of every year. So it's not like we're going to be, and we're still bound by the assessed value rules for an individual acquisition. It's just that a specific property that's within this program doesn't need express authorization, but it'll still fall in within those fiscal guidelines.
My understanding is that we set some parameters by which the staff can act quickly on acquiring property up to a certain amount of money. I don't remember it off the top of my head. And that you all would still be subject to those rules through this program.
Yes.
Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So this is our existing property acquisition policy. It conforms with that.
Yes. Yeah. They asked that. I guess there's a specific resolution regarding their program, even if it's not necessarily giving any new powers.
Yep. So can I ask a question? These are REO properties. So how is it that did they go through the sheriff's sale and just not sell, or how do they end up with this group?
Yeah. So there's a few different programs they do. And this is something that the A&D committee had asked, and we scheduled a meeting with the program director and asked these questions. So they have 3 programs. One's the First Look program. And I'm going to read directly from my notes here. So they have, let's see here. The First Look program it's the classic program that most of the land banks that they work with are part of, which the properties are vacant, so no one's living in them. We can schedule an inspection, but then they would be market rate with a discount. So at this point, when they're in this program, they're owned by the financial institutions like Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. They also have the auction program, which is through Real Match. These are properties that haven't been conveyed to HUD yet, so they're kind of in a middle period. So previous legislation said that during the first 30 days of this period, it would have been exclusively available to organizations like us. But federal legislation or regulation has changed this. So it's not as advantageous. So this the second program, this auction program that I'm talking about right now, wouldn't be necessarily as beneficial. And then they have a third program called Early Access, which they describe as being upstream in the foreclosure process. So it's foreclosed, but still in the redemption period. And it's priced at a foreclosure reserve price. So we wouldn't be able to do an inspection, but we could still make a bid on the property per se.
Do you have any sense of how many properties are in either any of those three categories in Muncie?
Few. I think
Few?
Few,
Yeah.
like yeah. So in Tend, Indiana, they're part of this program. Or at least Renew is, but I think they're eligible for acquisition in our area too. And they say they see very few properties that go through, only a couple a year, if that. And the program director also doubled down on that, saying, yeah, there's not very many. But as a land bank, he basically said that any property that goes through, priority would be for us. So if there's any competing organizations in our area, we would really get first right of refusal. I mean, we'd get preference over them.
And is there any expense associated with this?
No, besides getting the property, no.
All right. I'd make a motion to accept the A&D committee's recommendation to become a NCST partner, or whatever the language is.
Second.
Well, there's a motion and a second. Is there any further question, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye. Rebecca?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Dean?
Aye.
Dustin?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Melanie?
Aye.
Annette?
Aye.
All right, unanimous. Go ahead and enter the program. I believe the resolution specifically requests mine and Heather's signature. Am I correct?
Yes.
Right.
So I could send that via like Adobe Sign or something. Have you guys sign it?
That's exactly what I was going to suggest. That works for me as long as it works for Heather.
Thank you.
Yep, that's fine. Just a quick question. I know that John made the motion. Who seconded it?
Oh, Annette
I
did.
did.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And then our last item up for voting is the approval for the recommendation for the offer for Zach's further employment. We've went through in the process of planning for next year's budget, and we went through some offerings and some scenarios in order to maintain and keep Zach so that we can continue the operations we have at capacity right now. Nate's done a lot of heavy work on this. Do you want to go into any details for this?
Yeah, I don't know if everybody's had a chance to look at what we're offering Zach, and then also kind of the accompanying inputs, the projections, budget projections. There's also a spreadsheet that kind of talks about our increasing land sales, also what we're calling our recoup rate, just to kind of showing that we're financially able to make this offer. From what revenue we have, we can pretty much count on over the next 3 years, in addition to some of the windfalls we've gotten from Ready, and then also from the Ball Brothers Foundation. Yeah, so I don't know if there's any questions, if people have had a chance to review. Yes, Dustin.
So going through some of that, did I see that there was a budget line item that mentioned PERF?
So currently, staff does not have any retirement benefits, and what the land bank and actually can apply to be part of PERF. That was one of the options that we looked at initially. It's expensive for the land bank. There's also a longer vesting period. So anyways, that's where we started. And then I went to Whitinger and talked to one of their financial advisors, and he kind of walked me through all the different retirement possibilities. And he really, so that's option one in that Excel. If you look at option two, it's called a simple IRA. That was what he recommended. It's a much lower contribution from the land bank. And he said, if you're trying to, if you're concerned about what the land bank is contributing, his suggestion would be to work that on the compensation side and not through a retirement benefit program. So anyways, the first option, perf, was where we started. That's expensive. It's also very restrictive as far as what employees can invest in. So he was not recommending that as what the land bank would choose. So he was recommending the simple IRA. That's option two, and then thinking about how we can kind of find. The perf would have cost the land bank about $10,000 a year, all said and done. And so yeah, 12 starting in 2026. The simple IRA would be about $3,500. And so I thought, talking about it with exec committee, could we come to like a third option where it's a simple IRA with some kind of end of year bonus that in theory would be the match that would be required for the 3% contribution from the land bank. Kind of a middle of the road third option where we're not committing the land bank to a higher percentage contribution year after year after year based on salary, a smaller percentage, but then a bonus that would constitute the match for us to be able to get that 3% in an IRA. So this is what we're started, because I haven't really thought about this as from my own perspective, and then Zach thinking about offering him something that's attractive. I kind of threw myself in there. So we're actually the retirement side is something that I was going to bring up at the December meeting about me. I wanted to get through this with Zach. Anyways, I talked around and around, Dustin. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. Okay. But so, if you look at the budget, our kind of guaranteed revenue over the next 3 years, which I think will increase, has the opportunity to increase. That's enough to cover all our administrative costs, which includes human resources, office, different kinds of services, insurance, software. And then I'm kind of thinking about the windfall that we've come into with the Ball Brothers Foundation, and then intend is kind of a revolving fund. Thinking that over the next 3 years, if you look at our recoup rate, which is dramatically increased over the last couple of years, we're recouping about, actually with the new numbers, with some of the new sales, we're probably actually in the black. So just trying to show that I think this is feasible, it's responsible, it's not going to put us in a compromising position. And so much of the increase in land sales, the increase in the recoup rate, so much that is connected to the work that Zach's been doing, like really sharpening up our systems. And so yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me to continue with Zach and assume similar results and improved results over the next couple of years.
And to follow up with that, you'll notice in our financial documents, they've radically changed since the middle of summer. Going forward, we believe that our budget's going to be sustainable. Nate represents our third executive director, probably our longest serving one at this point. Zach is our second management employee that we've had. Joe Fillenworth being the first. I think that we've gotten a lot of trust from both philanthropic interests and community partners and the state and the city. And I think that to maintain that trust, maintain this capacity, we need to have a competitive package to be able to offer to maintain Zach's expertise and his high level ability to, give us graphics and manage our property. And it takes a lot of stress off Nate's plate, allowing Nate to better focus and sharpen in. Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns? Is there a motion?
I would make a motion to, what would we say? Go ahead with executive committee recommendation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would just be to offer Zach the contract that was in the box. So yeah, we would just accept the recommendation or approve it, however you want to word it. So we have a motion to approve the recommendation from the executive committee for Zach's employment. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any other further comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none. All in favor, signal by saying aye. Rebecca?
Aye.
John?
I,
Dustin?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Melanie?
Aye.
Annette?
Aye.
And I makes you unanimous. Welcome aboard, Zach.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, we appreciate your work. With that, I think it concludes our voting items. The next portion of our agenda is a relative update from our committees and actions that have gone on since last month. I'm gonna let Nate take over from here. I believe we're gonna start with our fundraising committee.
Yeah, this all is pretty quick, the next items here, but yeah, you all are aware that Ready 2.0, there was a public announcement. The governor came to Muncie, the mayor invited me to share on behalf of the project. It was a great little space, and so that money is coming in. So there was 6.75 that was awarded to Muncie, and 3.2 is awarded to the Old West End portion of the project. And then I've confirmed with the mayor that also intend that there is a line item for the land bank. I think we're just going to kind of be their local contact to help with any kind of maintenance things that need to happen over the next couple of years. But we're gonna basically ask for that 25 for each of the next 3 years. So anyways, y'all have been a huge part of that. Big moment for the land bank and so many others. And so we're gonna have 30 new homes built right there, South Council, Howard, Powers, Garkey, 4 rehabs. Yeah, we're very excited, thankful to the city for including us in their larger proposal. Thank you all for grinding it out with us to get there.
Thank you, Nate, and all the work you've done to get us there.
Jack, you want to jump in there?
Yes. So we signed a purchase agreement and moved that we gave that to Indiana Title to move forward with closing with Jade Dushman for 509 West Adams and 2123 South Jefferson for $10,000 each. We're actually going to be in the black on 509. 2123 something we've owned for 3 years now. So that's going to be a loss. But then 2523 South Meeker to Remed Page, who's a local contractor, for $10,000. That's also going to be in the black. So overall, those 3 sales were going to be in the black quite a bit. And then we signed a purchase agreement, an option to purchase with Larry Robinson for 1209 South Hoyt, which is a vacant lot. And he paid the earnest payment for that property. Any questions on those?
Okay, moving on to First Friday. I'll start with, so our December meeting coming up. You all know that we're partnering with the Third Year Planning Studio, the Urban Planning Studio. They've been out in industry all semester. They've done a parcel structural condition survey. They did almost 200 quality of life surveys with individuals in the neighborhood, and then conducted 15-20 focus group conversations over the past month and a half. They've created some reports from those exercises, and then now they're working on what we're calling a corridor redevelopment plan, and it's a specific area of industry. We've kind of come to this location with the neighborhood, so it's really where the students are invited to be creative, thinking about all that they've heard, both the needs and the assets, and so they're going to be presenting that plan at the first Friday in December. So you're all welcome to come. But it's been a real great experience with the students this year. We had a great community engagement effort, and largely it's because of our partners, Urban Light, Habitat, and then some local folks that were great ambassadors for what we were trying to do. So it's been really great for us, and it's also, I think, been really great for the students. So this past First Friday, we presented on the tax sale, Zach and I, primarily Zach. And there's a link there in the agenda. It'll take you to our website. There's the PowerPoint that he used, and some more information. But I asked Zach if he would just kind of brief you all on some of the major findings, trends that were identified based on his investigation.
Yeah. If you watched the MRC meeting from yesterday, I also gave these same updates basically. But so for Muncie only, so out of the whole Delaware County list, of course, for the tax sale and then spatially filtered just to be Muncie, there were 522 properties that were listed. 191 of those sold, which recouped $376,000 in tax delinquency. 331 did not sell, which leaves $2.8 million of tax delinquency on the table. There were 25 buyers, with the top 5 being responsible for almost 90% of the money spent at the tax sale. 4 of the top 5 bidders were also in the top 5 of last year's sale. And the top buyer himself spent over 40% of the money spent at the tax sale in total. So one buyer out of 25 spent 40%, over 40% of the money spent at the tax sale. So of course, this is part of the research that we're doing, trying to identify trends in the past tax sales that have taken place in Delaware County. Learning, who's being divested of ownership, who's really making money off this process. I know that this top buyer that I'm mentioning, just from the 2024 tax sale as of June, so there's been 6 more months of redemption period since that, but he had already made $120,000 from properties being redeemed, which is interest on that money that he'd spent on these properties.
So
what was his total investment?
That is on the, let's see, from the 2025 tax sale, he spent, I'm opening up that link on the agenda right now. But you can see, so it was Redemption Warriors was the largest single bidder. He spent $1.2 million this year at the tax sale under that LLC.
So what was the total delinquency that was recouped?
Yeah, so $376,000 of total delinquency on the 191 properties that sold. Of course, a lot of surplus was generated, but Indiana tax sale law, right? So all that surplus goes to an escrow fund that sits there for 3 years. If the property is redeemed by the original owner, that money is, sent back to the winning bidder. It can be redeemed by the winning bidder. If that property is not redeemed by the original owner, that original owner has a right to get that property from that, or get that money from that escrow fund, so that they're not. It would otherwise be considered a taking. Their right to the value. It's their right to acquire the value of their property, since they were divested of ownership.
And how much was not recouped in all the property?
Yeah, $2.8 million of tax delinquency was not recouped. 331 properties did not sell. So importantly, though, on those properties that did sell in that surplus, right? When a bidder, makes a bid on a property, they get 10% back on their money if that on a minimum bid, if that property is redeemed in the first 6 months, 15% if it's redeemed in the second 6 months, and regardless of time, they get 5% on their surplus, on that surplus bid back. So there's a really great opportunity for bidders to make money off of this process, whether they're interested in the property or not. And what we've seen in the past, 10 years or so, they're not really. It doesn't seem like winning bidders are really interested in actually taking the properties to deed. They're in this for the interest on their money, not for the revitalization of property.
Zach, did you happen to do any research to see who is the principal behind this?
Yes. So the top 5, 3 of them are from Delaware County, one's from New Jersey, and one is from Fishers. So Mark Price is the Redemption Warriors LLC guy. He also had Home Free Enterprises Indiana 2024 LLC. And he's a Muncie native as far as I know. Tom Terry is M. Jewell. He's been in the tax sale game for as long as back to 2010 at least. There's been court cases against him for regarding the tax sale, but he's spent millions and millions over the years.
Okay, thank you.
And so for me, part of this process, because we're looking at this tax sale, but also the last 10 years of tax sales and more, is really getting a better handle on where this tax sale is successful, where it's where there's some challenges, and also kind of dispelling some of the myths. I mean, I remember when I first walked into this talking about out-of-state people, and the tax sale, and that's really not as prevalent. I mean, there are some cases, and you do see that to a degree, but it's much more, it's local people with rentals, their properties are going delinquent, and then actually a lot of people that are purchasing properties. And yes, it does seem, and I talked to a lot of the people that were there bidding, more and more it feels like it is a business that some people would have more access to resources, have been able to use to make some money, not so much a tool for local people to grab a property and rehab it, because they're just getting outbid for anything that has value. And that's what you see. Anything that has a somewhat of assessed value is the properties that people are bidding on. And it's actually advantageous for the properties to be bid up, because then they're going to get a higher interest payment back. So yeah, it's been interesting to dig into, but it continues to have lots and lots of properties that are not selling, and that's where we talk about becoming a potential off ramp for some of those properties that continue to just linger in the tax sale year to year. Anything else? Any questions?
Great work, Zach. Thank you.
Thank you.
I did have one question, just thinking about this a little bit, for those properties that the big guys are coming in and taking. I mean, that's pretty functional. I mean, that's kind of how the tax lien sale is supposed to work, right? Someone's late on their taxes, someone purchases a lien against the property and then that person is paid back with a little bit of interest. Is it that, and those are properties that still have, you know, significant value associated with them. Would you characterize it that way? I mean, when you read the state law, that seems like exactly how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, I think it does work in those scenarios. But there's also scenarios where people go in and they bid on properties, and the original owner doesn't actually redeem the property, right? So they could take it to tax, they could take it to deed, get the tax deed for that property, but they've identified that it might not actually be worth going through the process and petitioning the court and taking it through quiet title action. Whether because the property is in such bad condition or because it's in bad condition with the title, it's not going to be worth it to them. So they decide not to take it to deed. So this property's gone through a year of just sitting there in that redemption period. And then instead of being taken to deed when it would be timely or being redeemed by the original owner and being invested in, it goes back to the tax sale again. And that happens over and over and over. So it really, they made so much profit on the other side with properties that are getting redeemed that they've identified that they'll still be in the black if they just forget about the properties that they're supposed to take to deed, depending on what the property is. And then there's the other side of that where some of these guys, like M. Jewel, for example, takes these properties to deed and then sells them for a very large profit. I saw one yesterday that was he doubled his money on what he spent at the tax sale for that property, sold it the same day, which isn't necessarily a bad thing if that guy on the other end is going to be investing money into it. But it does speak to questioning what the true value of that property is when it goes to the tax sale.
And
I will say, as someone who serves on the Unsafe Housing Board, we see a number of people who sight unseen buy these properties, not from the tax sale, but from an individual who bought it from the tax sale. And they really don't know what they've gotten themselves into. And then we end up applying fines and other things in order to encourage them, we'll call it, to fix up the property. And so but it is, as Dr. West said, that is the system. That is the system. And we have to deal with it. I just wonder if there's a way that, not that I want you to necessarily get in this business, but I mean, if somebody's making 5 to 10%, maybe there's a way that the land bank could, you know, some of those would be redeemed. You know, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I just see the other side. I see the people who buy them, and often they're using limited resources to do the purchase, and then they're quote unquote a homeowner or a rental property owner, or, you know, they've read a book or gone to a seminar, whatever it is, and they're in a bad spot. And then that board that I'm on, the Unsafe Housing, is in a bad spot on how we want to protect the community, and they're not doing the work, and nor most of them don't have the resources to do the work. It's just frustrating that the process is the way it is. But anyway,
Yeah.
just a comment.
And that very thing we've actually talked a little bit about, Mayor. Like, because we actually, as a land bank, we could take out a bond. You know, if we had $1 million, could we go in there? Could that be another stream of revenue? I don't know. It's something that we have at least talked a little bit about. And I would just say one other thing, and maybe this is clear to everybody, but for me, it was enlightening. I just assumed that all that surplus was money that was going to be, you know, distributed amongst taxing units. And so that was new to me to know that actually goes to escrow and it's there for 3 years. And most of that doesn't actually get through on the other side.
And when it does get through, it's supposed to be transferred. And I was going through the county's budget data for the last 10 years. That money gets through after 3 years or so and goes to the county's general fund, which it was like $70,000 last year, which is nothing compared to the amount of surplus they're getting. But that money doesn't legally need to be distributed to taxing units. That money that gets through the surplus fund stays in the county's general fund. They're not required to distribute that like they are with other taxing dollars.
Yeah, I believe it's viewed by the state as that's to compensate them for the time and effort they put into the process. I would love for it to be distributed to the other
Yeah.
entities. But I think that's what the state legislators chose as a way to compensate them for their time and effort. Because they do run the process, we don't.
Yeah, but I think what was brought up at the MRC meeting yesterday was that the city is the one, mowing the property, putting the liens on the property. The tax deed clears all of those liens, so the city can't recoup their money on all those liens, all the mowing work, even a demolition possibly. And then those liens get wiped clean, so you can't make your money back. But then any surplus that property would create goes to the county for ever. So just an interesting thought, yeah.
Yeah, but it is the system, and so, yeah, we're trying to at least start by understanding better where it is recouping tax dollars and the community benefit that it creates. How often are people actually taking properties and investing in them and making them productive again? So trying to get a better understanding so that then we can, have better conversation about, is there a role for the land bank and all this? John?
It makes me wonder if there might be a narrower pitch we could give to the county. I think last year we gave a pretty broad pitch about the kinds of properties that we might be interested in. Now that we know this information, if we could kind of think a little bit about the different kinds of actions that are being taken place in the tax lien sale and think more specifically about where we think we could be of assistance to the county, it might be an interesting conversation.
Great. Thank you all for that. Is there any other points on the agenda? Can you bring that up?
No, I think that's it.
I think that's the last item on
Yeah,
our,
that's it.
we are at the privilege of the floor, so if there's anything that, the board should hear or consider, or any announcements anyone would like to make, this would be the time.
I do have one item. Is there anyone else who wants to work on the first Friday, scheduling first Friday for next year?
That would be the programs committee.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking that we would kind of bring up committees and
Okay.
in the January meeting.
Yep.
Based on kind of where we're going.
Is there anything else? Hearing none, our next board meeting will be December 19th at 9 a.m. right here on Zoom. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
So a second?
Second.
Does anyone object? Hearing no objections, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.